Welcome to Dads and Daughters, episode number 9, with my co-pilots, Kelly, Jenna, and Miss Gizzy, who made her triumphant return to our show. Hey, Gizzy, say hello to everybody. So just got back from a few days in New York City, and it was great to see my Midwood High School Hornets football brothers. We do that every year. Special shout out to one of my frequent guests on the show, Mr. Dave Paris. We celebrated 6 months since his recovery from COVID-19. He was in ICU at NYU. 6 months now out of the hospital, looking great, and we had a great time. Also saw my college football teammate and roommate, George Lanise. We had him on a Reach Out with Ray and Steve on Friday. My friend George has a great organization called About You NYC. Kelly, show me your shirt as well. And we're representing George as well. Has a great organization. And George and I were teammates on the Albany football back in the day. So if you can see the shirt here, but George is a dear friend of mine, great organization, and hopefully I'll send a link to his. It's called aboutyououtreach.org, and he'll be on a future show with Ray and Steve as well coming up. So Jets lost in triumphant fashion. Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes, go Jets. Love being 0-12 if we can get the first round picks. But want to start this show by talking about the incredible story of Jeff Ryan, a celebrity chef, and he's a dad of a little angel named Ella. She's now 3 years old, and she was diagnosed with Kleefstra syndrome in early 2019. And Jeff has formed an amazing charity, doing some incredible things. Started the charity up in September. Let's see a clip of Jeff from a spot that he did on CBS this morning a few years ago when he was promoting his red clay hot sauce. I love hot sauce, by the way. And then we'll bring on Jeff.
This morning on The Dish, a chef who grew up in southern heat and put it in a bottle. Jeff Ryan was raised in the red clay fields of Georgia. During a break from college, he got a restaurant job in South Carolina and made cooking his career, with stops at top venues there and in the Midwest.
Along the way, he noticed that bottles of the hot sauce he created kept disappearing from restaurant tables. So he decided to help customers acquire them legitimately. He has come out of the kitchen to manufacture his red clay hot sauce line, now available nationwide. Chef Jeff Ryan, good morning and welcome to The Dish.
Good morning. Grateful to be here. Thank y'all for having me.
Good stuff. What do we have in front of us here?
We've got a little fall southern brunch. So starting on our right.
Love hot sauce. So, Jeff, I need some bottles of that, dude. So, yeah, Jeff. By the way, Jeff, we have a guest coming on later. Hopefully you like him, Jim Leyritz. I know you're a Braves fan. I know he broke your heart in 1996, but just bear with us for that. So, but yeah, Jeff has an incredible story, and I want to talk about iDefine, which is an organization really has the goal of accelerating life-changing treatments and cures for rare genetic disorders resulting in intellectual disability. So before we start the questions, Jeff, I just want to promote or just plug a clip of iDefine, just showing what your charity is all about. Jeff, incredible stuff. As a fellow dad, doing awesome things for your little girl. There's 500 known cases, right, of Kleefstra syndrome, and I think the first diagnosis was 10 years ago. I believe it was named after a doctor whose research team identified the genetic cause of this disease. And just a question for the viewers is, what is Kleefstra syndrome, and how does someone get tested even though they have it, or if there's any misdiagnoses of it or false positives? What is the background on this syndrome?
Yeah, well, first, Mike, I appreciate you having me on. Excited to talk about what we're doing. So Kleefstra syndrome was diagnosed in 2010. So as you referenced, Dr. Kleefstra herself is still practicing in the Netherlands. She's at a university over there called Radboud. And we've been fortunate enough to have a kind of a cadence with her so we could really understand on an international level what's going on with Kleefstra syndrome. The latest research, the latest findings, the latest diagnosed cases. So, with 500 cases scattered around the world, it really is, how do we pool everybody together? You referenced, is anybody ever misdiagnosed? And the answer would be, not with Kleefstra syndrome, but they might be put on the autism spectrum, right? So a lot of our kids, about 50% of our kids have a dual diagnosis with autism. And so over the past 10, 15 years, a lot of times when you get put on that autism spectrum, the digging stops, right? So to be able to actually get a diagnosis for Kleefstra syndrome, you would have to do a whole exome sequencing, which is really mapping out the entire genetic sequencing of someone's DNA. And that sometimes is prohibitive for cost reasons or just accessibility. We were fortunate enough, my wife and I, that we live in this small South Carolina town, and 2 miles down the road, we have a world-renowned genetics center called the Greenwood Genetics Center. So my wife picked up on my daughter not hitting milestones, went to the pediatrician, they sent us over there, and we got a diagnosis at 15 months. So there's my peanut right there. But you'll hear a lot of stories within the entire rare community about families that have gone years without understanding what the diagnosis is. I have a family that has Kleefstra syndrome. Their son's 34. They didn't find out until he was 32, 2 years ago. And so they've gone almost their whole lives with him, not knowing how they could potentially help in a targeted way.
Yeah, we were late in diagnosing Kelly. I mean, I can tell you most kids with Asperger's, autism, they're at the very onset. I can tell you with her, had to be well after 5 years old where we started picking up on it, but still didn't really know. So yeah, with Kelly, it was sort of latent and it kind of came later. And then as soon as we found out, we kind of went into action to make sure from a school perspective that she had the required support. But I do know with going forward with a disease like Kleefstra syndrome, it would, once you get it, you have to have the cardiac screenings, the renal, intestinal evaluations. So otherwise you get long-term complications later on in life. So it's very important to get screened and qualified, or obviously diagnosed with it, because otherwise it could lead to some issues later on in life. But most kids, I believe, that have it do lead healthy lives once they're in the kind of diagnosed and go through it, correct?
So it's not a quote unquote degenerative disease like a lot of these are, but there is a significant sense of urgency looming over us. And what happens a lot with Kleefstra syndrome is they hit adolescence and puberty, and they enter in what's called a regressive state. So a child could be learning all sort of new fundamental skills and then hit this regression period and lose all of them. You can have someone who's out working independently, living on their own, they hit regression, and then they revert back, and sometimes to almost a catatonic state. So that is looming over every single parent of a child with KS, is that this is coming our way. And as of right now, there's no way to stop it. And so that is what kind of propelled me to jump into action, as you referenced earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your 3 areas of focus besides Ella, of course, this organization, but you just established it in September, and I think you did a $75,000 Kickstarter. Actually, ironically, I know Matt Stover from the Ravens. He was actually Giants Super Bowl winner in 1990, had a 20-year career. He has an organization called the Players Philanthropy Fund, so he's your fiscal sponsor. So it's ironic we both know Matt. Matt's a great guy. But what are your 3 objectives going forward? I know the clinic was the first objective to start this Center of Excellence at Boston Children's Hospital. But what else are your objectives in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, to hit on the Center of Excellence, you gotta figure, again, with such a limited number of cases, if we have 500, imagine going to your pediatrician and you're the only type of person they've ever seen. You're not going to be able to provide very good advice, right? So what we want to do is provide a center where these folks are experts in this condition, and so that people from all over the country and potentially all over the world can come to this and get expert clinical care. So if your child has a problem with speech, or your child is having sleep issues, or whatever the case may be, they could steer you in the right direction rather than having this information just kind of floating out there. We're going to aggregate all the data together so that we can offer better care to our community. The second bucket is the community, right? If we are fighting this battle alone, it's going to be a really, really long road. So we're trying to get everybody together. We want to create awareness. We want to discover more cases. What's interesting about the rare community is you hear the word rare and you think of, 1 in a million. But in fact, rare genetic disorders make up 300 million people. That's almost the size of the United States population. So it's actually a huge number, and 95% of those rare genetic disorders don't have any treatment. So this is a rising tide lifts all boats mentality. And then the last thing is research and treatments. So make something tangible to me. When we didn't know what my daughter had, I didn't really know I just wanted to support her. Once I found out what it was, it's my job to kick its butt, right? So what we want to do is chase this thing and develop treatments and hopefully find a cure for it one day.
That's great. Well, you're from Georgia originally, I believe, and I think you were a baseball player at the University of Tampa, which is ironic because Tino Martinez was a baseball player at the University of Tampa, and Tino turns, I think, 52. He looks great, by the way, but he turns 52 tomorrow, so shout out to Tino. And Ray Negron and I were celebrating some Tino Martinez birthday cake in the Bronx on Friday, but you then moved to Charleston, which I love Charleston area, and you were a chef there. I love sheet crab soup, so if you make some good sheet crab soup, we got to be over your house next week. How has the transition been from going from that world to the world you're in now? Because once you get involved in philanthropy, it becomes a passion that consumes you full time, which I've learned. So how does that transition, how's that been for you?
Well, I think as an athlete growing up, there is something about athletics and teamwork environment that is ingrained in you forever. And so I have taken that into the restaurant world. And when you're part of a restaurant family, you're really leaning on your brothers and sisters every single day. And so that teamwork is really, you're not going to shine alone. It's not, baseball is not an individual sport. Restaurant world, being a chef isn't an individual endeavor. It requires a full team effort. And so once I was able to kind of develop that kind of mentality, as well as the work ethic that's required to be successful in both of those environments, if you don't have the work ethic, you won't succeed in athletics, and you certainly won't succeed in the restaurant business. So now taking that and putting all that energy and effort behind helping my daughter, I mean, sign me up 10 times out of 10, right? So this opportunity has been created where I can now devote myself to this effort. And what I've found is, in this world, there's not a whole lot of teamwork, or there hasn't been historically. COVID, a silver lining in COVID is the teamwork that's happening with government agencies and commercial and academic institutions all working together for a common cause. And the fact that this hasn't been just standard is kind of shocking to me, but hopefully we'll be able to understand moving forward the benefits of that teamwork. And really, I define our whole team is made up of powerhouse parents. The whole rare community is powerhouse parents, where we all reach out and collaborate with one another. And it's so empowering and it's so uplifting to get that. And then we're motivated by helping our kids.
Yeah, everything you say resonates with me, because I could say from my corporate world athletic endeavors, it prepared me for what I'm doing now, and the passion, the energy that's committed. I mean, I'm like on 24/7. Everyone who knows me knows that's all I think. I'm consumed by my kids, right? Helping them. So definitely, as a fellow dad who lobbies and advocates, obviously for my daughter, but what was the things that inspired you? I know our common connection is a guy named Fred Benfield, who has launched a camp in Greenville, South Carolina, called Camp Spearhead, to help Down syndrome kids and other special need kids too. But I know that's probably one of your inspirations, is Fred is a very inspirational for what he's done over the last 40 years. But any other things besides Fred that really just got you, besides Ella and Fred, what has really pushed you into this world?
It's really, you got to have the confidence to take a risk. And that confidence comes from, one, seeing my mom work her tail off growing up as a single mom, providing the best opportunity for me. And then, as you referenced, my in-laws, Fred and Anna Marie Bentfeld. My sister-in-law has Down syndrome. My wife's a special education teacher. If anybody's equipped to tackle this, it's us. My wife and I have been giving this incredible toolkit. So with my work ethic, discipline, the desire to keep pushing, and my wife's expertise with special education, Fred and Anna Marie, what they've done with Camp Spearhead, they've literally raised over millions of dollars to help kids go to these camps, which are specialized for folks with special needs. And so I've seen Fred put on this annual golf tournament every single year, raise hundreds of thousands of dollars every single year. And so I have these incredible role models. And when you surround yourself with that kind of support system and role models, it makes you want to push yourself to be better, right? And so it's like the LeBron James or the Tom Brady. You hear about these guys who are the top of their class and how they motivate the team around them. So you want to make those people better. I have a lot of those people in my life who are making me better and who are giving me the confidence whether it's naive or not, we'll see. But it's given me the desire and the confidence that I can take this on and succeed.
Well, I have a guy in the show. He's backstage. I don't want to put him on the spot. Ray Negron, who's been with the Yankees for 47 years, but Ray has devoted his life to paying it forward, impacting others through everything he does every day. We'll have Ray on a little later when we have Jimmy Leyritz in the next segment. But Ray is one of the guys that's really inspired me to keep doing what I'm doing, because sometimes I have my moments when I want to give up and say, I can't do this anymore. And then I look at what Ray's doing out there in the streets of New York City during COVID, and with Steve Vaccaro doing some incredible work. And so it's really, I think you're right. It's your support system and how that really, and I think what you said too, Jeff, I think everything you do is really just not helping your daughter Ella, but it's helping others. You want to pay it forward so other parents don't have to go through the same things you have been through in the last 2 years. So I think getting that early diagnosis and having research, and I think that's really what you want to leave a legacy, so that other parents have that kind of same type of, so I think that's a really great, noble thing that you're doing.
Yeah, you want to eliminate pain points. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? You know, they say that. And so whenever you experience those tough times, then it becomes your responsibility to make sure the next person doesn't necessarily have that tough time, right? Yeah. So that's our goal, is to help all these kids, not just Kleefstra syndrome. The reason we called it I Define is because we want to go after intellectual disabilities as a whole. It's an aggressive goal, but why not shoot for the moon? Yeah.
I'm impressed by all you've done so far. I mean, I've had my 9/11 organization, been with them for 18, 19 years so far, more than that actually. And but what you've accomplished in a short period of time is just amazing, inspiring, and we're committed to helping you and this network, and want to kind of continue the journey with you as well. Anything we can do to help and leverage and kind of bring synergies, collaboration, opportunities together would be great. And but I want to keep you on the show, Jeff, because we have another segment coming up, and you might relate to this guy who 24 years ago broke your heart, but he's been a long time friend of mine for many, many years, because he's championed my 9/11 organization as an ambassador for the last 10, 11 years, and he always helps others in need since his playing career ended. So, but for those who don't know the legend of Jimmy Leyritz, the King, I want to show a quick clip of the postseason heroics. I call him Mr. October. Sorry, Reggie, but Jim Leyritz is Mr. October. So let's see it.
Fly ball, right field. Maybe. It could be. Back at the wall. Goodbye. Home run. The Yankees win. Jim Leyritz, a two-run homer in the 15th inning. Yankees win 7-5. 2-2 to Leyritz. In the air to left field. Back at the track, at the wall, we are tied. Six here in the eighth. And it was a slider in the eyes of left. Outfield deep all the way around. Down the right field line. This one is slicing back, and a home run! It is tied up! Leyritz hit the foul pole to tie the game.
Well, the Astros and Billy.
Nothing phases.
Long drive left field. Has Leyritz done it again? You bet!
Bob Costas saying, Larry, done it again. Sorry, Jeff. Your Braves fan broke your heart twice, but Jimmy, I want to have him on the show now, and also hopefully, I know we have Ray Negron hiding somewhere back there, and I know Nick Singh should be in the backstage area too. But Jim has been one of the most, again, dedicated folks who have done philanthropy that I've ever seen. And, the work he's done for 9/11 over the last 10 years at Cantor Fitzgerald every year at Charity Day. Not only does he come to that event he always comes to support the 9/11 families on his own time, on his own dime. And I've never seen anybody more selfless than Jimmy. And I think we have a picture of Jimmy from one of the events up there. And all right, I said Matthew McConaughey. But Jim is the most popular, engaging celebrity that comes out every year. Cantor Fitzgerald always asks me every year, first thing they ask me is Jimmy coming back. So it is an incredible, and it's a testament to what he does. And this Experiences for Causes, which I want to talk about, which Nick Singh was so great to bring Jimmy into, is so inspiring. And there's Nick. Let's see him. He's in the car right now. Hopefully you're not driving. I hope you're staying stationary. And Nick Singh is a protege of Ray Negron. I got to tell you that Ray has mentored, and Nick is actually 22 years old, I believe, Nick. Young guy, but he's been through a lot in his life. And I think this concept, this organization that Nick has put together with obviously through Ray and Jimmy and others, incredible. So I want to show a clip that they did opening day 2019. Obviously, we didn't have the 2020 opening day we could do this year, but incredible story that shows the impact of what Jim did to help a young man who had never had the opportunity to go to Yankee Stadium. So we had that footage. You'll be very inspired by it.
Are you Tyler? I'm Nick. I'm from Experience for a Cause. How are you? Good. How are you?
So Tyler, he was born with hydrocephalus, which is water on the brain. At that point, it was like our world just came crashing down because I was like, what is this word? Hydro what? He did research and found out, it's a brain condition that there is no cure for. It's just treatment.
Hello, Tyler. Jim Leyritz, I used to play for the New York Yankees. Get your tickets. You're actually coming with me to the game today. You're going to be coming with us to the game. Pretty cute hair.
Surprise! Our goal is to pretty much create unforgettable, life-changing experiences for anybody in need. We don't have a target. We want to hear your story. If you know somebody that has a story and you want to share it, send it to us.
That's it, man. Incredible stuff. But Jim does that kind of stuff all the time. Ray, you've been doing that for the last 47 years. So I said, when I first seen what was going on here a couple years ago, I said, that is exactly the kind of stuff that Ray Negron has really championed with the Yankees organization forever, on his own time, on his own dime as well. And that's what Jim does. And incredible impact on others. So
Jim Leyritz is a champion. Jim Leyritz has been doing that stuff since he hit those big home runs. And he took that beautiful scenario of what he accomplished in New York to share with the young people that really need the help. And that's why I love Jim, because all of a sudden you see him walking through the hallway at Yankee Stadium with a mission. You can't stop him. You almost have to tackle him in order to say hello, because he is headed to some young kid to say, hey, let's go. I'm taking you on the field, or I'm taking you where I'm not supposed to take you, but I'm going to take you anyway. And that's why I love Jim Leyritz, okay? Jim Leyritz has been thrown out of better places throughout the years because he wants to help everybody. That's why I love Jim Leyritz. Bottom line.
Anytime I need a video, a clip, or anything, I ask Jim to do. He's right there.
I'm never afraid to say, Jim Leyritz, I love you. And you know, that's all I got to say.
Let's have Jim speak for a minute. He just came back from Hawaii. He's well tanned. I don't know if you got the nice tan going there, but you were.
Yeah, he looks as dark as me.
Yeah. We just got back from Hawaii. Yeah, we were able to get through before the lockdown that just happened tonight. So
wow.
But no, Mike, one of the things that, listening to the interview before, and, I think with Nick and with Ray and yourself, all of us on this cast right now, it's all about giving back. It's all about using what we've been given, what God has blessed us. I know the influence with Ray just as much as me was George Steinbrenner. And George was the first one when I came up with the Yankees that said, you are part of an organization now that you will give back to the day you die. And it's so true. And it's one of the things that he instilled in us as players. Like Ray mentioned, when I was playing, being involved with a charity that was getting 2 boys adopted into a family, and to see how that changed their life and gave them an opportunity that they would normally wouldn't have had, changed my way of thinking and realizing that the platform that I'm given because of a ball player, because of a talent that I was given, that able to do things for other people is more important than any home run or anything else I could possibly do. And I think all of us on this cast right now, we're pretty much, we feel the same way. We've been personally impacted by some of the things that we do, but we also have the heart of a person that says, hey, we're lucky we have our health, and those around us maybe not as lucky. And you know what, we're going to do everything we can to help them.
Well, seeing the next generation continue the work that Ray has started years ago, Nick, you done a lot with the Boys and Girls Club and so many different things I've seen you do in a short amount of time. I know Ray Negron's been a big inspiration, mentor to you, but what other things inspired you to start creating these kind of experiences to help others? I'm impressed by it, man.
Yeah, honestly, it's just my upbringing. It's the things that I've gone through, throughout my life. I started to learn as a young man, as a teenager. I started volunteering when I was 14 at the Boys and Girls Club. And then I started to realize and see that I'm not the only child that was suffering. I'm not the only child that was going through all these trials and tribulations and trauma that I had faced growing up. And when I started putting myself in other people's shoes, I started to realize that, I'm not alone. So let me continue to help and see what I can do. And then I started doing this since I was 14, the last 9-10 years of just giving. And God has blessed me with so many resources and accolades that I can now use it to share others. It's, if God has blessed me to, completely, he's turned my life around, and he's given me all these opportunities to bless others, then why not? I don't want to be selfish about giving. Giving isn't supposed to be selfish to begin with. And guys like Jimmy and guys like Ray, who has been mentors to me the last few years, in order to give more and more and more. I think, honestly, I'm just starting. I've done a lot over the last 5 years, especially, but, with Ray and Jimmy along my side, as long as you, with you as well, Mike, we just want to continue to give. And I think the best is yet to come.
Well, I know one of the last questions, I know we got to wrap up soon, but Jim, last question really has to go to you. What kind of feeling do you get when you see the happiness on that kid's face? And you do that a lot. I mean, I know that when you weren't there, for example, for 9/11 this year because of the COVID, you were there on the phone and you wanted to be there, and you developed a kinship with the 9/11 families, with the Casillas family and Cantor Fitzgerald. What makes you, it really drives you, Jim, to keep doing what you're doing and your connection and bond in those moments? I mean, that obviously must inspire you to keep doing more.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is when you personally get involved in an organization, not just write a check, not just say, here you go, there's money. When you personally get involved and you actually meet the people that are going through these hard times, that are suffering from these diseases and from everything else, and realizing that, wow, this is who we're impacting, this is who we're helping, it makes a big difference. And I think, again, when those two little boys got adopted back in 1996, and the one little boy asked to take my name, Jimmy Leyritz Cortez. Mike, it's a life-changing experience that you can never imagine that some child would want to do that. And I've been blessed to have you in the 9/11, to have Ray Negron with the Yankees, to have Nick with the Experience for Causes, and of course Pink Tie, which I do in Long Island, with a charity that helps all charities and foundations raise money. And I go to all their events. I'm so touched to be part of it, that I want to continue like you do, Mike. You're at a ton of events, and you get to see where this money's going and what it's for, and how important that is. That really does touch your heart.
Well, Jeff, before we wrap up, I'll just tell you, if you need us for anything, this is about collaboration and synergies. You got Ray Negron, you got Nick Singh, you got Jim Leyritz. We are here for you, and we're virtual because I'm in North Carolina, Ray's in New York, and Jimmy's in sunny California, or cold California now, and lockdown California. But we are here for you, so hopefully we can continue this journey all together. This has been a phenomenal episode once again, and thank you for everybody on this call. We're all brothers in the fact that we're doing so much for other people, and let's keep this journey continuing and really paying it forward.
Hey, but make Nick Singh get a haircut.
No, we're working on that. Yeah, I think Jeff already had their haircuts, but I still got mine.
Ray, at least I still have hair. You're struggling over there to grow yours.
Okay. Well, we're not going there, but on that note,
Jimmy got the cuts. Me and Jimmy got the cuts.
On that note, but no, guys, great show, and keep doing the great work that we all serve God and we serve our fellow man. So let's keep it going, and we'll have another great show next week. But happy holidays to everybody, and thanks.
God bless.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, guys.